Humans live their entire lives with the belief that they are in control of everything. But the truth is, no one truly controls anything. We are taught that life is within our grasp, that with enough effort, calculation, and control over every detail, we can make things happen as we wish. Yet, try grasping a stream of water with your fist. The tighter you squeeze, the faster it slips away. Every time we try to force the world to conform to our will, it only responds with resistance. The more we seek control, the more anxious and fearful humans become, because deep down we know we have never truly mastered anything. Try commanding your heart to stop beating for a second, or telling your mind to stop thinking for a minute. You will see that life does not wait for your orders. It operates on its own, breathes on its own, changes on its own, as it has done since before you were born, and will continue after you are gone. Control in the end is merely an illusion nurtured by the ego and society. A story we tell each other to temporarily forget that we are standing in the middle of a vast current without holding the helm. From a young age, we are taught that we must control everything: emotions, behaviors, outcomes, even other people. We must plan, set goals, and win. Both modern education and culture are built around the concept of mastery as the ultimate symbol of success. Society worships the archetype of the self-made man, the person believed to control their destiny, shaping the world through individual will. And because of this, humans fear most the feeling of helplessness, the feeling of not knowing what will happen. That fear drives us to create all sorts of structures, to feel safe: rules, religion, schedules, endless long-term plans, carefully drawn life maps. We seek security in prediction, in certainty, as if calculating every variable would make life obediently comply. But all of that is just a wall of wind built from breath. It looks solid, but in reality it is an illusion concealing the truth that this world has never been in anyone's hands. The flow of life does not follow schedules or human will. It operates on its own rhythm, beyond the capacity to measure. Yet day after day, we still try to organize, to force, to grasp each moment as if it could be possessed. We spend our entire lives planning for something that has never belonged to us, the future. We suffocate the present to serve days that have not yet come, believing that if we calculate carefully enough, happiness will appear exactly when we want it. But every plan collapses with just a random gust of wind. A meeting, a rainstorm, a small event can completely alter the trajectory of a life. And when that happens, we do not understand why we feel so miserable, as if the universe has betrayed us. In reality, the universe is just doing what it has always done: changing. The more we try to control, the more anxious we become, because the world always has millions of variables beyond our reach. The mind is programmed to believe it is in control, because it cannot bear the thought that it is merely a small part of a flow too vast. But in trying to command each wave, we lose the ability to feel the ocean. Every effort to dominate only separates us from the life that is unfolding. That is the profound paradox of modern humans. Society does not teach us how to live. It only teaches us how to control life. And life, like water, is only truly beautiful when allowed to flow freely. Humans believe they are the driver of this body, that there is an I sitting behind the wheel, issuing orders to the body, thoughts, emotions, and actions. But if we observe more closely, we will realize there is no one actually in that driver's seat. This body operates without any commands from the will. Your heart beats without needing reminders. Breath comes in and out without waiting for permission. Cells renew, wounds heal, hair grows. All happens naturally, as if some intelligence is hidden behind it all, running everything without your intervention. And the mind is the same. Thoughts come and go. No one knows from where, like clouds appearing in the sky and then vanishing. If you were truly the controller, you could surely choose to think only pleasant things, but you cannot. Because thoughts do not obey commands. They happen. Emotions are the same. You cannot tell yourself to love, to forget, or to hurt. Less everything comes and goes according to the rhythm of life. We are like waves that think they are separate from the ocean and choose how to crash. A wave may believe it is rising and falling on its own, but in reality it is the ocean that is moving through it. The I that we believe is the control center is actually just an illusion born from separated consciousness. Consciousness that believes there is me here and the world out there. As that consciousness grows, it builds itself a throne, assuming it commands the body, life, even the universe. But that throne is built from smoke, because every heartbeat, every breath, every thought is evidence that a flow is operating beyond the capacity for control. You do not create breath. Breath creates you. Life is breathing you. Looking through your eyes, feeling through every cell of your body, you are not separate from the universe. You are the way this universe is experiencing itself. When you understand that, the pride in control begins to dissolve. All boundaries between me and the world blur, and you begin to see that you have never been the controller. You are a part of that eternal movement. And when you realize you cannot even control your own heartbeat, you will wonder if you cannot control yourself. How can you think you control your life? And then when that illusion begins to collapse, when humans truly see clearly that they are not in control, the first reaction is always fear. A vague but all-encompassing fear, as if the ground beneath their feet has suddenly vanished. The mind, accustomed to holding on, becomes panicked, trying desperately to regain the feeling of control in any way possible. It immediately erects new plans, new beliefs, new reasons to cling to, just to avoid facing the truth that there is nothing left to grasp. Like a person in free fall, clutching at the air itself, the mind latches onto anything that can give it a sense of security, an idea, a belief, a mental pattern. But everything slips through the fingers. Life, by its free nature, refuses to stand still to be controlled. And in that very moment, humans experience a profound cognitive crisis. Everything once considered me, plans, aspirations, roles, begins to waver. People feel empty, as if dissolving into the void. There is no anchor left for the mind to hold on to, no wall left to lean against, only the sensation of falling endlessly in infinite space. And the mind, born to measure, to name, cannot bear it. It fears uncertainty more than death itself, because uncertainty means no center, no controller. So it goes mad, searching for an escape, trying to fill the void with activity, reasoning, philosophy. But all those efforts only exhaust it further, because trying to control the loss of control is the most subtle form of resistance. In that chaos, some turn to religion, hoping for a higher will to control in their place. Others flee into work, achievements, relationships. But wherever they go, the truth follows. There is no steering wheel to grasp. What they are trying to control is the illusion of control itself. And the more they cling, the deeper they sink into suffering. However, something strange happens when humans manage to stop, even for a moment. In that moment of surrender, when there is no strength left to hold on, a silence begins to emerge. No more noise from fear. No more echoes of control. Only pure stillness. In that stillness we realize that no loss has occurred, only an illusion dissolving. We fear letting go, because we think we will lose something, but in truth, we only lose the illusion of control. When the illusion falls away, what remains is not emptiness, but a vast, vibrant space where everything unfolds naturally, without anyone issuing orders. And in that moment, fear begins to melt, giving way to a strange sense of relief. The feeling of someone falling who suddenly realizes they have never hit the ground, because they are the sky itself. When fear fades, the first thing humans begin to feel is a strange quiet. No more noise from the mind resisting. No more echoes of the need to control everything. In that space, a new understanding gradually forms that there is another way to live, lighter, more natural. Taoism calls this wue eru bue, not doing yet, nothing left undone. This is not surrender or passivity, but absolute harmony with the flow of nature, where action no longer stems from coercion, but from a deep understanding that everything already is and has been operating in its own perfect way. When we try to force water to go where we want, it resists. But when we relax and swim with the current, water becomes an ally. The swimmer does not conquer water with strength, only stays afloat by letting go. Likewise, life is not a battle to be won, but a river of which you are already a part. When you stop, no longer thrashing the water in fear, you will see that you are still floating, still supported by the very flow you once tried to control. This is not a philosophy of avoidance, but the recognition that nothing needs to be forced. The sun does not effort to shine, the flower does not strive to bloom, and the river does not need a map to find the sea. Likewise, life does not need your directions to continue. It knows the way, finds the path, balances itself. When you no longer try to control, you begin to realize that everything has always been operating perfectly. Even events that seem chaotic are part of a larger order that the limited mind cannot see. Paradoxically, it is when we let go that we see clearly. Because only when the lake is still does the sky's reflection appear. The busyness in the mind, the efforts to control and resist, only muddy the water. But when we become quiet, we see that the flow has never been wrong, only our vision clouded by the desire to dominate. Life does not need your commands, it only needs your trust. Trust that you are not an outsider trying to control the universe, but a part of its very operation. When you understand that, everything becomes easier. Decisions are no longer heavy. Changes are no longer threatening. You act, but without strain. You speak, but without force. You live without fighting every moment. That is when life begins to flow through you, rather than being controlled by you. And in that flow you see more clearly than ever. There is nothing to do, because everything is being done. And then when humans stop forcing, when the mind ceases resisting the flow, actions begin to become natural, fluid, as if guided by a greater intelligence. Things that once required effort now unfold effortlessly. Every decision seems to happen on its own, right on time, in the right place, without calculation. You say what needs to be said, do what needs to be done, and it happens as naturally as breathing. No coercion, no worry about outcomes, only the fullness of each unfolding moment. When wind and sail work together, the boat travels far without force. Likewise, when humans merge with the flow of life, the energy of the universe carries them to where they need to be. It is not that they abandon everything, but that they act from deep listening to the rhythm of life, rather than the noise of fear and ambition. When this happens, a natural intelligence arises, not from reason, but from the inner stillness itself. It is a wisdom that cannot be learned, only recognized when we stop. Action then no longer comes from will, but from harmony with the whole, like a tree that does not think about sprouting, a bird that does not calculate when to sing, and a river that does not argue with the terrain. We too can live without needing to control every little thing. When you enter that state, life becomes a continuous dance, where every movement, even the smallest, carries meaning. There is no longer separation between the doer and the deed, between subject and object, only pure action unfolding. And strangely, it is in that letting go that effectiveness becomes greater than ever. Everything falls into place, as if an invisible conductor is orchestrating the entire universe. Humans no longer feel like the driver, but the instrument through which the music is playing. And that is when you live as music, not controlling each note, but allowing the melody to sound. You do not need to know what the next movement will be, because this moment is already complete. Life is no longer a series of tasks to complete, but a symphony playing itself. And you simply listen, join in, feel. When life flows through you rather than being controlled by you, everything becomes simple. No more goals, only movement. No more fear of mistakes, because there is no wrong path. You return to the natural rhythm of the universe, where everything happens not for a reason, but simply because it is. But even when we begin to understand the flow of life, humans easily fall into another more subtle trap, trying to control the external world. When we cannot control ourselves, we direct that energy outward, trying to control others, nature, society, even destiny. We want others to think like us, act according to us, live by the standards we deem right. We want the weather to follow our plans, the market to respond to our predictions, and the entire universe to revolve around our will. But the world does not work that way. Nature does not obey commands. People are not tools, and life does not follow the mind's blueprints. Every time we try to bend the river with our hands, we only get swept away. Human history is proof of this. Wars, political systems, movements to reform the world all stem from the belief that we know what is best for others. But the outcome is always the same: chaos, suffering, division. Because control never creates true order. It only forces, and what is forced will eventually resist. The more we try to mold the world into a shape, the more distorted it becomes in our perception. Every time we try to force life to fit our personal ideals, we diminish our ability to see it as it truly is. Because the world does not need to be controlled, it only needs to be understood. Understand that everything is seeking its natural balance, that humans, like plants, like wind and rain, are part of this eternal process. When we look without judgment, observe without forcing, the world becomes transparent. And in that transparency, what once seemed chaotic reveals itself as profound harmony. Like the sound of the wind, to someone trying to capture it, it is only noise, but to someone listening, it is music. When we realize this, we stop wanting to control others, because we see that each person is walking their own path, no matter how different from ours. The world does not need to be shaped into the form we expect. It only invites us to understand, love, and participate in it with trust, as part of a miraculous operation that has never missed a beat. When humans truly understand the law of flow, they stop trying to dominate, no longer tense between the need to control and the fear of losing control. They live flexibly, naturally, like water flowing around rocks, without needing to break them. Such a person no longer needs to win, to be right, to prove anything. They understand that everything unfolding is part of the whole, and every movement has its perfect place in the vast symphony of life. Like water, soft, non-combative, yet able to penetrate stone. Water does not attack, yet nothing can stop it. It persists through its very flexibility, and the free person is the same. They are not confined to an image, a role, or an idea of themselves. They can change while remaining true, act without needing to assert, be present without needing to control. They work, love, create, not out of fear or ambition, but from the natural joy of life flowing through them. When you no longer worry about control, you begin to truly participate in the dance of the universe. You no longer stand outside life, like someone trying to direct the performance, but become part of the dance itself, where every step, even if out of rhythm, is still part of the perfect cadence. The truly free person no longer opposes life, but converses with it. They do not ask, "How do I make this happen?" but simply listen and respond. What is this inviting me to do? Action then becomes a subtle interplay between person and circumstance, not calculated, not forced, but harmonious. Everything they do seems to fall into place, as if arranged by an invisible hand, because when there is no resistance, the energy of the whole begins to flow through them. They speak less, but every word carries weight. They act less, but every action has power. And it is that very simplicity that creates a deeper impact than any forced effort. They do not seek freedom, because they are freedom. Freedom is not the ability to do whatever one wants, but no longer being controlled by fear and desire. It is the inner stillness where everything is allowed to be itself. When people understand that life cannot be controlled, they stop trying to distort it to fit their expectations. They begin to trust what is happening, not blindly, but with the understanding that this universe has its own intelligence. Every fluctuation, every loss, every beginning is part of that rhythm. The free person does not need to control the future, because they have learned to trust the present. They walk without fear of falling, because they know even a fall is part of the dance. In that state, life is no longer a series of events to overcome, but an adventure without a destination. Every moment is an open door, and simply being there fully is enough. And when humans reach that freedom, a final realization blooms that there has never been anyone truly controlling anything. All efforts to control, all fear and striving, are merely fleeting waves on the vast ocean of life. When the waves subside, the sea remains still and complete, never disturbed. You have never controlled your life. You are simply the way the universe is unfolding right now, like breath coming and going without needing to be remembered, like a seed breaking open in the soil without instructions, like a wave dissolving into the ocean without ever being lost. Everything is just the natural continuation of one another. There is no driver, no invisible hand manipulating, only life expressing itself through countless forms. And the miracle is, when you stop trying to be the controller, you begin to feel the perfect coordination of the whole. Life is no longer a series of tasks to control, but a symphony where each note sounds at its appointed time. In that understanding, we stop running, stop fighting, stop fearing. Letting go is not loss. It is returning to the original simplicity, where everything operates on its own, where you do not need to do anything to be enough, because you are already part of this completeness. When you understand that, what once terrified us, impermanence, change, death, also becomes different expressions of the same dance. This breath leaves so another can enter. The wave dissolves, so the sea remains the sea. The sea dissolves, so life continues. And you, who thought you were separate, are just the universe's heartbeat in this present moment. When the mind stops resisting this truth, a silence opens, not a meaningless void, but a space of peace, gratitude, absolute clarity. In that silence, you no longer ask, "What should I do?" Because you see there is no I and no task to do. There is only life living. And when you realize that, you smile. Because finally you understand, liberation requires no effort. It happens naturally, like dawn after night, like wave following wave. Everything has been, is, and always will be, just as it is. If what you just heard touched something within, please subscribe to the channel to continue exploring with me how life operates on its own, without needing to be controlled. Thank you for being present in this moment. See you in the next leg of the journey, through the flow of awareness.